I'm at the Manassas National Battlefield, and over there's the Bull Run Mountain off in the distance, and there's a blue bomber. I'm going to close up the bomber, and we're going to head over in this direction to part of the battlefield that I've never hiked to before. Over near Interstate 66, there was a plantation over here by the name of Portici, and there's nothing standing there anymore, just some interpretive signs. But I'm going to hike over there, and in that same area, the family that lived there, their last name was Ball, B-A-L-L, and there's a Ball family cemetery over there too. There he is, Stonewall Jackson. At the base of the statue it says, "There stands Jackson like a stone wall." Over there's the Henry house. There he is again. .1 miles into my hike, and this is the turnoff. It says Portici Trail. The spot where the mansion stood is down here a little ways. I was going to go down here first and then loop back, but since I can see the family cemetery right there, so I may as well go up here and check that out, and then come back here and go on down this way, because it'll be less hiking in the grass. Think ticks. So the Ball family cemetery is up here on a nice ridge. I'll do a 360. The mansion would have been over that way. I'll be heading over there next. That's the way I came in. And there's a hay baler. .5 miles into my hike, and this is the local area high point. This is where the Portici Mansion would have been located. Around the corner there's some signage that says that. I took some pictures. All that racket is Interstate 66. Maybe you can see the cars out there moving around. Tremendous racket. That's where I came from. The cemetery's over there. Let me see if I can. The grass is so tall, it's very hard to. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. Hard to hold the camera that steady, but anyway, there it is. It's over on the next ridge. So the cemetery's over there. The mansion was over here. There's 3 or 4 big trees here that just so happened to be in a perfect line. So it's possible they were here back in the day. And I'm going to continue around the loop. I'm hiking the loop clockwise, so I'm going to continue on this way, which will take me back to the gravel road and then back to my car. There's no interpretive sign here, but I think this is supposed to be a replica of one of the winter quarters would have looked like for the Army when they wintered over here. Trees cut down and notched and put up like that, which creates huge gaps in between the logs, and then they used mud, probably reinforced with straw or something for chinking. And then whatever they could find for a roof. Okay, I'm back to the gravel road. Portici was up there, and there's that little replica wintering quarter, and over on the next ridge is the Ball family cemetery. But kind of important, if you don't feel like walking here from the visitor center, which is a little over a mile, you got this parking area right here, but you come in from that end down there, and I'll have to look on the map. I think you come in like you're going to Cracker Barrel and just keep going on that road, and it eventually brings you around to here. Somebody aimed this cannon at Stonewall Jackson. That's not very nice. This is a map of today's hike. The quadrangle name is Gainesville, 1994. And this was a hike in the Manassas National Battlefield Park. I'm not going to use this map though because it doesn't show any of the trails that I want to talk about. So I'm going to, instead we're going to switch to this map which comes off the National Park Service website for the Manassas Battlefield. All that you see here in green shading is the Manassas Battlefield. This is Interstate 66. And this is Route 234. If you go south, you'll end up in the city of Manassas. So the park is a few miles north of the city. And the area that I was interested in looking at on this hike was the ruins of this plantation called Portici, and the associated cemetery is the Ball Family Cemetery. There's two ways to get there. One way, the easy way, is to drive up 234 and turn on this Battleview Parkway, follow this down and around to the left, and there's a battlefield stop number 11, I think it's called, right here. And you turn left on a gravel road and come up to here and park in the parking lot. If you do that, you don't have any hiking at all to do. All you have to do is just walk around in this field. Instead of doing that though, I came on up and went into the visitor center. Here's the visitor center. And you start out on this blue loop, which is the first Manassas loop. And you follow that into the woods until you get to an intersection here. And then the trail continues on to the north. But if you turn and head south, there's a sign that says Portici this way. So you follow this gravel road down this way. And then there's two openings to get, one to get to the cemetery and one to get to where the Portici Mansion used to be. This is up on the highest point of the hill. Unfortunately, they haven't been cutting the grass. There's just they mow like a little pathway for you, but it's hard to see anything because of the tall grass. But anyway, you come up to here, there's some signage here that explains about the mansion and how it was destroyed during the Civil War. And then there's a mowed pathway over to here to the Ball Family Cemetery. That's in good condition. And then back, and then basically back to my car like this. So it's a fairly short hike, 2.9 miles. The ascent was 223 feet. And that was the hike for today.